CBS, ESPN, and the NFL itself all came out with their Week 13 power rankings. Now it's my turn. So let's get into the top 10 Week 13 NFL power rankings. Miami fans aren't just pissed because Colin Kaepernick strolled up to Miami wearing a Fidel Castro shirt where we know a lot of Cuban refugees have made their home. But they're also pissed because the Miami Dolphins have been out of my top 10 for quite a few weeks. I've heard Miami fans telling me on Twitter, hey, where's my team at the top 10? We just won 3 in a row. Then it became 4 in a row, 5 in a row. And now with 6 in a row, I can no longer keep the Miami Dolphins off this top 10 list. You guys deserve it. Another team that deserves some love, the number 9, Detroit Lions. They played an excellent game, taking first place in the division against their division rival, Minnesota Vikings, on Thanksgiving. But even more impressive is these fourth quarter comebacks by Matthew Stafford. Every fourth quarter they're down, every fourth quarter he's bringing them back. He is a legitimate MVP candidate. I look for the Detroit Lions to continue to rise up these NFL top 10 power rankings. But a team that we're starting to see slide down these NFL power rankings, the number 8, Denver Broncos. They came off a great Sunday night football game against their division rivals, the Kansas City Chiefs. And although it was a close game, you got to think Denver cannot continue to lose these division games. They have a 1-3 division record, tied with San Diego, who also has a 1-3 division record. They are beginning to lose pace with teams like Oakland and Kansas City. Things aren't looking good. Denver, your defense needs to step up, and Trevor Siemian needs to continue playing like he did this Sunday night in order for them to come back and get back in this playoff picture. A team that is in the playoff picture in the NFC, the number 7 Atlanta Falcons. And with the high-flying offense led by Matt Ryan and a great ground game, this offense is arguably the best in football today. It's one of those teams going into the postseason you might not want to play because you don't want to find yourself in a shootout with these guys. I've said this before. If Dan Quinn can get this defense playing to a level anywhere near their offense, this is going to be a team to be reckoned with in the playoffs. Also, in the NFC playoff picture, the number 6 Seattle Seahawks lost a game at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is a team that looks like they're on the up. Famous Jameis is starting to play like the franchise quarterback, like we all thought that he would be after being drafted number 1 out of Florida State. But it's no excuse, Seattle. This is the 3rd game of the season where you have failed to score a touchdown. That is tied with the Los Angeles Rams. You know, there's a guy by the name of Case Keenum that leads that offense. So Russell Wilson, you've been looking better in recent weeks, but this cannot continue. I've heard a lot of Seahawks fans tell me I was crazy. I had the Seattle Seahawks way too low on many of the earlier weeks' power rankings. But this was exactly why, guys. Call me crazy, but I'm not sold on this Seattle offense. The defense, I give all the props in the world. That pass rush is getting better. The Legion of Boom is the Legion of Boom. But you're not going to be able to beat teams like the Atlanta Falcons or the Dallas Cowboys who could put the points up when you're having trouble scoring a touchdown in the regular season. Which brings me to another team in the NFC that looks to make some noise in the playoffs, the number 5 New York Football Giants. This is the second team on my top 10 list that comes in with a 6-game winning streak. Their 6-game winning streak has kept them not only in the playoff picture, but also in the picture for winning the NFC East, and they still have a shot at the number 1 seed. The reason being, we go back to week 1, this is the only team to beat the Dallas Cowboys. And if they can get a win this weekend, all while the Cowboys lose to the Minnesota Vikings on Thursday, they will be playing the Dallas Cowboys the Sunday after that for first place in the NFC East and the NFC itself. Now, I struggled a little bit between my number 4 and my number 5 teams. I wasn't sure where to place them, but ultimately I decided to go with number 4, the Kansas City Chiefs, over the New York Giants in that spot. And the reason being, the Chiefs' defense has been consistent. They've been one of the top defenses in the league the last few years. They have a good, experienced coach in Andy Reid. They have a quarterback that doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes, even though I got to admit, I'd like to see him make a lot more plays like he did at the end of the game, of this Denver game on Sunday Night Football. But, they seem to have a tight leash on him. But even so, with Justin Houston returning and getting 3 sacks, this defense is only going to get better. You have to give them the credit they deserve in the AFC West, as they went into the black hole in Week 6 and beat the number 1 team in the AFC, the Oakland Raiders. You have to give this team props. They should not be slept on. Just because they don't have any marquee names doesn't mean they can't make some noise in the playoffs. In what I believe might be a bit of a shocker to some people on this week's power rankings, I'm putting the New England Patriots at number 3. And the reason for this is very simple. I feel like injuries are starting to catch up to this team. This team is still a powerhouse. This team still looks like it can be the number 1 seed in the AFC. But you have to admit, when healthy, and right now Rob Gronkowski isn't healthy. When he is, he's the best tight end in the league. When he's not out there making plays for another guy that's hurt, his quarterback, Tom Brady. It looks like Tom Brady's having some deal with his knee. He didn't look good against that New York defense, which itself doesn't look good. Revis Island has become a vacationing spot for quarterbacks and wide receiver tandems this year. Tom Brady was barely able to expose that. And without Rob Gronkowski, you're taking another weapon away from him. Look, there's no reason to worry. There's no way New England doesn't make it to the AFC Championship game. It's like, let's just pencil them in right now. But the bottom line is this. There's just a little bit of a cause to pause at this moment. Which brings me to the team that made the jump over the New England Patriots, the number 2 Oakland Raiders. This Raider offense is explosive. Derek Carr is proving he may be the new favorite for MVP of the league. They were up big time on the Carolina Panthers this weekend, punishing them on offense. All of a sudden, Derek Carr, he hurts his thumb. He's out. Carolina makes a run. They put that Raider team on its heels. Derek Carr returns, and he seals the deal. That's an MVP performance, if you ask me. And with the rest of this offense and offensive line, who can doubt the Raiders have the firepower to play with anybody in the league? They have the playmakers on defense. We just need to see them step up if they're going to make it to the number 1 spot, which for a 3rd week in a row is occupied by the Dallas Cowboys. And again, they prove they can win any type of game in any way. The Washington Redskins offense is one of the best in the league. It's one of the scariest teams to play. You don't want to see Kirk Cousins when he's hot. And those receivers, tough. But Dallas continued to control the game. And although they gave up 3 touchdowns in the 4th quarter, you got to think it was probably by design, as the Cowboys knew Washington was afraid of that offense, and they can control the clock by using that running game that Washington just didn't have an answer to. I really love how this Cowboys team is playing. They control the clock. They control the pace of the game. Even when they're down, they're playing their style of ball, and no game looks too big for them. But with all that being said, it's becoming more and more concerning every week that their lack of a pass rusher could come back and hurt them if they see a team with a great quarterback in the playoffs. I would hate to see Matt Ryan or Kirk Cousins get a rematch in the playoffs, because if they can't pressure that quarterback, they could fall and slip from their spot in the NFL power rankings. We will see next week.